The reasonable man adapts himself to the world, the unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. The man who writes about himself and his own time is the only man who writes about all people and about all time. I often quote myself. It adds spice to my conversation. The only thing to do with good advice is pass it on. It is never of any use to oneself. I learned long ago, never to wrestle with a pig. You get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. Life is not meant to be easy, my child, but take courage, it can be delightful. The test of a man or woman's breeding is how they behave in a quarrel. The man who says he will never lend money is as bad as the man who says he will never borrow. The worst sin toward our fellow creatures is not to hate them, but to be indifferent to them. That's the essence of inhumanity. Lack of money is the root of all evil. Success does not consist in never making mistakes but in never making the same one a second time. The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers. A government which robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul. A fashion is nothing but an induced epidemic. The only way to avoid being miserable is not to have enough leisure to wonder whether you are happy or not. The man who can dominate a London dinner table can dominate the world. The power of accurate observation is frequently called cynicism by those who don't have it. The secret to success is to offend the greatest number of people. He knows nothing, and he thinks he knows everything. That points clearly to a political career. The moment we want to believe something, we suddenly see all the arguments for it, and become blind to the arguments against it. The only way to avoid being miserable is not to have enough leisure to wonder whether you are happy or not. A man never tells you anything until you contradict him. A perpetual holiday is a good working definition of hell. Beware of the man who works hard to learn something, learns it, and finds himself no wiser than before. I often quote myself. It adds spice to my conversation. The best way to become acquainted with a subject is to write a book about it. Life contains but two tragedies. One is not to get your heart's desire, the other is to get it. Self-sacrifice enables us to sacrifice other people without blushing.